Hey everyone, welcome to All About Python. In this three-part course, you shall learn about basic Python syntax, Python data structure, NumPy and pandas. All you need to know before learning about machine learning and TensorFlow. This video will cover the basics of Python programming language, which entails variables, operators, basic data types, conditional statements, and loops. Without further ado, let's dive right in. What is Python? Python is a powerful, high-level programming language known for its simplicity and readability. It was created by Guido van Rossum and first released in 1991. Since then, the programming language has gained immense popularity due to its versatility and wide range of applications. One of the key features of Python is its easy-to-understand syntax. The language emphasizes on code readability and uses indentation to define code blocks, making it intuitive for beginners and experienced developers alike. To start coding in Python, you'll first need to download and install the Python interpreter on your system. You can visit python.org/download to download the version suitable for your system and follow the instructions given on the website. You can also check out this video in which the installation process has been described in detail. Both the links are available in the description. Now let's begin with a classic example every programmer encounters, the Hello World program. It is a simple code snippet that displays the text Hello World on the screen.
Unlike C and C++, in Python, you can achieve this with just one single line of code. Print Hello World. Now, when you run this code, you can see that the output displayed in the console is also Hello World.
The best way to learn a programming language is by practicing it rigorously. On www.hackerrank.com, you can find various questions of varying difficulty levels to practice your Python skills. You can visit the link in the description after watching this video, and if you face any difficulties while solving the questions, we are right here to help you out. Now let's look at variables. In programming, variables are used to store and refer to data. They act as containers that hold the values of various types, such as numbers, text, or Boolean values. Variables allow us to store information and manipulate it through our program. In Python, variables are created by assigning a value to a name. This process is known as variable declaration. The name of the variable can be chosen by the programmer and should be descriptive to represent the data it holds.
Here's an example of variable declaration in Python. Over here, as you can see, I have taken four variables, x, y, z, and a. For x, I have assigned the value of 5. For y, I have assigned the string as abc. For z, I have taken it as 6.5. And for a, I am comparing the values of z and x. So when I'm running this print statement and printing all of them, I'm getting an output for 5, ABC, 6.5, and true. Now let me explain how I'm getting these outputs. So when I'm saying print x, it is going to return the value as 5. So we get the output is 5. For y, assign the value as ABC, therefore we are getting the output as ABC. For z, we have assigned the value as 6.5, so we are getting the value as 6.5 over here as output. And finally, since we are comparing 5 and 6.5 and 6.5 is greater than 5, therefore we are getting this value as true.
Now that you know about variables, let's take a look at data types. Python has several built-in data types that are used to represent different kinds of values. Here are some commonly used data types in Python. First off, we have the numeric data type, which includes int and float. Then we have the string type, which includes a sequence of characters enclosed in single or double quotes. After which we have the Boolean, presents Boolean values which can be either true or false, used during logical operations and control flow. We also have the none type, which is used to indicate at an absence of a meaningful result or when a value is not assigned to a variable.
An interesting feature of Python is that variables are dynamically typed, meaning their data type can change based on the value assigned to them. For example, over here, I have taken the value of x as y. So when I'm printing it, I'm getting the value as 5. But then over here, I've taken the same variable x and assigned it the value as string Kolkata. So when I'm printing it, I'll be getting the value as Kolkata. So as you can see that the same variable is having is producing different outputs at different times. Over here, if you can see now as well, at first output returned to us is 5 because the value of x is 5. And then once we change the value of x as Kolkata, we're getting the output as Kolkata for the second printf statement.
In Python, there are a range of arithmetic operators used to perform mathematical operations. They include addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and the modulo operator. These operators allow you to perform calculations and manipulate numeric values. There are also comparison operators, which are used to compare values and evaluate conditions. They include the equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to operators. These operators help you make decisions and control the flow of your program based on the specific conditions.
Consider this example over here. Here, we have taken variables x and y and we have assigned them values 5 and 6. We want to know what the sum of these two variables would be. To find it out, we can use the addition operation by using the addition operator like we have done over here. We have taken a third variable t here to store the output. And then if we now run it, you can see that the value returned to us is 11. Since the 5 plus 6 equals to 11. Now let's say we wanted to take an input from the user instead of giving an input ourselves. So what would we do is use the input function. We would say input, enter a number. The Python input function allows the user to provide an input. By default, the user input is produced in the form of string. So what would we do is that we'll add an int before the input function so that it allows the user to provide an integer instead of a integer. This would allow us also to prevent the error which might occur because in Python you cannot concatenate strings and integers. So if we were to now run this, you can see it asks us for a number. Let's say we add the number 10. So over here we receive the output 15 since 10 plus 5 equals to 15. Now let's consider these two expressions that we have taken over here, the values of which we are storing in variables z and g, and then we are printing them in this fashion. Over here, as you can see, we have taken various types of operators. So how will Python solve these and can give us an output? Python follows the same precedence rules for its mathematical operators that mathematics does. Parentheses or brackets have the highest precedence and can be used to force an expression to evaluate in the order we want. Since the expression in parentheses are evaluated first, so therefore 3 minus 1 would be evaluated first, and then it would be multiplied with 2. So this should here we should be getting an output of 4 because 3 minus 1 2, and when we multiply it with 2 we get 4. Now when we consider the G1, here you can see that we have the exponential operator as well. So what happens is that first the brackets will be performed first, 5 plus 1 6, and then it comes the exponential, which is 6 to the power 2, 36. Let's consider this example of comparison operators. Over here, we have taken the values of x, z, f, and j. For x, we have assigned the value 5, for z 6.5. For f, we have assigned values 23, for j 23.0. Z with x as z equal to x, and j with f as j less than equal to f. So if you were to run these codes, you can see over here, it has returned a value as false and true. Why is it returned that? See, over here we are comparing z, which is assigned the value as 6.5, and x, which is being assigned the value as 5. So since z is not equal to 6.5, is not equal to 5, we have been returned a value as false. And now if you look over here, we are assigned the value of j as 23.0 and the value of f as 23. Since 23 and 23.0 are same, therefore we have been returned a value as true. Now let's say, for example, we were to change the value of 23.0 to 23.8, and then we were to run this entire statement, we'd be returned value as false, since 23.8 is greater than 23. Now let's look at the NOT operator over here. Unlike the and the OR operator, the NOT operator only takes one argument. Here we have assigned the values to variables a and b as true and false. So when we are performing not a or not b, we are basically performing not true and not false, for which we are return the outputs as false and true. Now let's consider these expressions over here. Here we have taken four variables a, b, c, d, whose values we have assigned as true, false, true, false. We have also taken the expressions not a or b and a and not c, and we want to see what would happen as what would be the output of these expressions. So when the Python, when we run it, as you can see over here in not a or b, this will basically be interpreted as not true or false. As I had mentioned earlier, in Python, the NOT operator has the highest precedence over the AND and the OR operator. So the first part of this expression, the not true part of this expression, is performed first, which will give us a false as output. So false or false will return us a false output. And in case of the second expression, we have the not C or not true operation here. So not true will be false, and true and false will return us a false as output.
In Python, conditional statements allow you to execute different code blocks based on the specific conditions. The if statement is used to execute a block if a certain condition is true. You can use the else statement to add statements for execution if the condition is false, and the elif statements are used to handle multiple conditions and provide alternative code paths.
Let's consider this example. Over here, we have taken a variable apple and assigned its value as red. And then we have used an if statement to check whether the color of the apple is red or not. If the color is red, then it would print the following statement: the apple is red. Now, if we were to select these statements and run it, you can see that the output shown over here is the apple is red. Why? Because earlier we had taken the value of apple to be red. Now, let's say if we were to take it as blue, and we had to over here show the statement as the apple is not red in case the color of the apple is anything but the color red. What would we do in that case? Simple. We would take an else statement and print the apple is not red. Print the apple is not red. Now, if we select it and run this, you can see that the output here is the apple is not red. Now, let's say we had another condition for if the apple was green, and we had to print this statement as the apple is green. What would we do in that case? Well, simple. We would add an elif or rather an else if statement in this case, where we would assign the value of, where we would assign to check if the value is green or not. Here, green. Print the apple is green. And if we change the value as green over here as well, and then if we run it, you can see that the output shown over here is the apple is green, since we have taken the value as green. Now, if we were to take the value of apple, say as blue, and run this, you can see that the output here is the apple is not red, since we do not have a condition for if the color of the apple is blue.
Now let's take a look at loops. Loops are used to repeat a block of code at multiple times. Python provides two main types of loops, the for loop and the while loop. For loops are typically used when you have a known sequence or want to perform a fixed number of iterations. While loops are used when you repeat a code of block as long as the specific condition is true.
Now let's look at this example for the for loop. Say, for example, I wanted to print the first 5 numbers of the number system. In Python, the number system starts from 0 in a default case. So, if I were to print this statement, run the statement for x in range 5 and then print it, you can see that the numbers printed over here are 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, let's say, for example, I wanted to print the numbers between 1 and 7. And I did not want to print the numbers 0 over here. Then what can I do? Well, I can set a starting range and an end range for this. What I will do is that I will write for x in range 1, which is my starting range, and 8, because in Python we need to take the n plus 1 value to print n number of items. Print x. Now if we run this, you can see that the numbers printed over here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now let's say I wanted to see only the odd numbers between 1 and 7. What can I do in that case? Well, along with the starting range and the end range, I can add a step count over here, like I have added over here. So what I would do is that I'll run the statement for x in range 1, 8, 2. Now 2 over here is the step count, which means that it would not take one. It would leave one number and then print the next one. So as you can see over here, it returns me only the odd numbers that are 1, 3, 5, and 7 here. Now let's look at this example of while loop. As I mentioned earlier, in while loop, we use while loops when we don't know the number of iterations required, whereas we use for loops when we know how many iterations we do need. We use while loop when there is a condition that when we have a condition that needs to be met. Say for example, we have assigned the value of x to be 0, and then we have taken the while loop while x is less than 5. Print hello world. And then we have used a counter over here for x plus equal to 1, which means that with every iteration, the value of x increments by 1. So if we were to run this statement, we will see that hello world is being printed 5 times. Why is it so? We'll see. In case of the first iteration, the value of x is 0. So when it's coming over here, it is checking x 0 is less than 5. So it's printing hello world. Then we are adding a value we are adding 1 to the value of x. So now x becomes 0 plus 1, 1. And then when it goes for the second iteration, 1 is less than 0. Similarly, when it reaches the number 4 after this, and it increments the value as 4 plus 1, 5. It's coming over here back at the while loop, checking. Now, 5 is less than 5. This statement will return us a false. But if we were to had we had a while loop as x less than equal to 5, in that case the statement would pass and we would have hello world 6 times instead of 5. Now let's consider this example from HackerRank. Over here we have been asked that the provided code stub reads integer n from stdin. For all non-negative integers I less than n, print I square. That means that based on the input that the user gives for the value of n, we'll have to print the square of those numbers. For example, over here, the value of n is 3. So we'll have to print the squares of numbers 0, 1, and 2. So therefore we have 0, 1, because 1 squared is 1, and 4, because 2 squared is 4. So how can we solve this question? Simple. The given over here is that n equals to int, then in bracket input, to take the input from the user. And then we'll add the for loop as for I in range n. We have to print I square of n. For square, we use the double multiplication sign. And if we run this code, you can see that the output given over here is the square. The output given over here matches with the expected output. As the input over here is 5, we can see our output is 0, 1, 4, 9, and 16. So if we submit this and check with all the test cases, it successfully passes.
In conclusion, in this video, we covered an overview of the basic Python syntax. We covered topics such as variables, data types, arithmetic operators, comparison operators, conditional statements, and loops. Understanding these fundamental concepts will give you a strong foundation for learning about machine learning and TensorFlow in the upcoming bootcamp starting 15th July 2023, which is being organized by Skepsis and GDSC SMU. Register now if you haven't already. The link is in the description. Thank you for joining us on this journey through basic Python syntax. We hope you found this course informative and engaging. Remember to practice questions on hackerrank.com, and we'll see you on the next one.